Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about Pluto and what it is here to bring to the world as it is now in Capricorn. So the best way that we can do this is to really go back to the last time it was in Capricorn. And from that vantage point, we can get a better understanding of what it's here to come as it transits through the sign of Capricorn. Now let me show you what book I'm referring to. This is my newest book. It's my book on Pluto. You can get it on Amazon. Pluto, Control, Power, Surrender, and Rebirth. And my 3 books of my trilogy that I just wrote during the Corona lockdown. This one's Uranus, Radical Changes and Awakenings, and Neptune, which is the book that's Secret, Illusions, and Scandals. All 3 of these, I call it my trilogy, of the 3 outer planets are available on Amazon. So let me just go into what I find interesting that's relative to the facts of what's happening in the world right now. So Pluto takes about 244 years to go through the entire zodiac of 12 signs. So at some points it can stay in a sign for 12 years, and at other points it can stay in a sign for 30 years because it's got an elliptical orbit, and the closer it is to the sun and the earth, the less time it stays in a sign, the faster it moves. But when it's further away from the sun and earth, it moves a lot slower and stays in a sign for approximately 30 years. But in the whole cyclic process, it takes 244 years approximately. So going back to the very last time that Pluto was in Capricorn was around November of 1773 to January of 1792. And so Pluto just entered into Capricorn January of 2020, and it will remain in Capricorn till March of 2039. So that's a long transit, but it just entered. And going back, well, you know, in 1776 is when the United States Constitution was signed. It's the beginning of the U.S. And in 1789 through 1797, get this, George Washington became the first U.S. president. And he was president from April, this was April 20th of 1739 till March of 1797. I don't think they had those 4-year stipulation of how long you could be president back then. But really, he freed America from the English. All of those wars where he really did free America from the English with the help of the French. Did you know all that from American history? And the founding fathers of the United States came into power. People had to escape Europe. You have to understand there was so much taxation and there was so much religious condemnation. They came here to the United States to start anew, to be free from all of that. And it seems like it kind of came back with a lot of the religious freedoms here, but many people become very justified. But you know, this is always called the land of the free, where we can think free, where we can believe whatever we want to believe, religious freedom. It wasn't like that so much in Europe. And this was a new country. And that's what Pluto in Capricorn, starting a whole new government, a new president, a new world of opportunities. So it was freedom from all of the perils and the problems that plagued Europe. People could come here and start over. So this was really an interesting idea, that there was a new government, a new president. And now we're in the year of 2021, coming up in a few days from the time I'm speaking. And I believe this means it's going to be a new government. It may look like it's going to be some of the same, but no, not with this, not with Pluto coming into Capricorn, because this is a new beginning, a new kind of government, a new freedom from the past. And what I think is really coming out of this is a freedom of speech, because it's gotten to the point where we don't know what's true or not from the media. There's all these different medias that are counteracting each other, saying the other one's lying while the other one's conspiracy. What do we believe? We don't know. We don't know the people they're talking about, but something's going to evolve out of this. A new freedom of thought and belief in the world. It's going to be a positive, but let me just say this. It was a rough start because they had to fight for their freedom. We're going to have to fight for our freedom. And that's what I see happening in this year of 2021 to 2022. There's going to be revolutions to free ourselves from that which we always thought was the truth and told us the truth, but they're not. And as we discover the truth, it's going to create a whole new world. Let me just say this. Pluto, when Pluto was discovered, that's when atomic energy came into being, the atomic bomb. And not that these years when they didn't know about Pluto, it wasn't really relative, but it was still a breakaway from the confines of that which was limiting to something more powerful and more freeing. But Pluto is that power of rebirth, regeneration, and that's what America represented. A rebirth, a freedom from the past confines of limitation. This is release. And that's what we're about to go through. One of the biggest releases ever, but we're going to have to fight for freedom. Freedom of thought, freedom of belief, because so many people are starting to tell us how we're supposed to believe. But now we're discovering that so much of the media has been propaganda. You know, back in the day, when there was only a few television stations, that's all we had to believe. And now we're starting to find out we weren't given the truth. But that's okay, because now we're fighting back, and now we're going to be released, and we're going to surrender. And what's going to happen is a rebirth. And a rebirth of what? The United States of America, because the United States of America set the trend of a new world with freedom of religious belief and freedom to be and say what we want. And this is what's about to change dramatically. Yes, we're going to have to fight for it. Pluto is transformative. And it's going to take us to a new world. And I believe, once again, it's going to start in America, the United States of America, because Pluto's made a full cycle, and it's a Pluto return now. And there's going to be a new type of president, just like George Washington freed everyone. There's a new freedom happening. Unlike anything we can imagine, 2021 is going to free us. Things are going to be very surprising and different than what you think. But we got to go through the birth canal to be reborn. And that's what's happening with Pluto. So with that information, I hope you'll pick up my new book. I'm very proud of these 3 books because they look at the world in a different light and use these planets in a different light. Because remember, Pluto, while it's in a particular sign, sets up whole entire generations of people, especially throughout the 12, 15 years it's in a particular sign. Your generation, your group of people you were born with, have a different purpose and meaning all about you, and it's based on where your Pluto is. So with that, I'd like to close. If you would like more information about me or sign up for my free newsletter, go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org. And remember, I have an astrology school, and the start date, you can start anytime, but the start date of my live webinars is going to be January 27th, 2021. Check it out. So it is University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.